Ooh, a shotgun wedding. Boy, that sounds romantic, doesn't it?
Ian, you sleazy freako package, would you trust a guy who turned up and claimed to be your brother?
It depends whether it was my brother or not. Generally, no.
But if it was your brother,
Then I still wouldn't trust him that much.
you shouldn't. How are you?
I'm not too bad, Jenny. How are you?
Brilliant. Fantastic. Could not be better.
Why is that?
I've told you before, drugs.
You're basking in reflected sunlight.
No, just the drugs.
Okay.
This week's episode,
Yes.
we find out more about Sledge's family, about his background, about his emotions,
A little bit about emotions, mostly about family background.
mainly.
Yeah.
But he does admit that he has got some emotions.
He admits that there are a few.
One or two.
And we were debating whether we learned his mother's name or not. You think we already knew it?
We did.
I don't remember hearing it before.
Okay.
Anyway.
Will we start this week's episode, Ian? Do you have anything you want to say?
Well, let's do the spiel at the start again this week, because I think people enjoy that. They'll enjoy having to wait for the discussion while I talk about social media.
They love it.
They do.
Everyone likes to hear it.
Well, we've had lots of letters.
Yeah, saying, please, begging to be...
Yes.
Crack
I wish
on.
instead of taking the time to write the letters, they'd just left a rating or review.
It would be a lot simpler for
It
everyone.
would have made life a lot easier. But anyway, iTunes, please, people, if you use iTunes to listen to the podcast, even if you don't, if you could rate, review, subscribe in there, it would be very helpful to us, and we would appreciate it very, very much. If you want to chat to us about this episode or any of the other episodes, you can join us on sledgehammerpodcast.com, where there's a thread for each episode, and we can chat about it in a suitably relaxed setting. Otherwise, on social media, where things are a little bit more haywire, we can find us at Sledgecast on both Twitter and Facebook.
That you?
And that's us.
What are we going to do next?
Well, we've got a choice of two things.
Okay.
We can start with the summary, or we can just jump straight in.
Crack on.
In Brother, Can You Spare a Crime? Sledge is forced to come to terms with the appearance of his apparent long-lost brother Miles, arrested following a robbery. Sledge is reluctant to accept the interloper's tale, but with Trunk and Doreau adamant that the newcomer checks out, he has little option. Matters take a turn when Dory begins to share Sledge's suspicions, and reach a head in a dramatic one-on-one showdown. Weapons are drawn as the supposed brothers go head-to-head, but which will come out on top?
Thank you, Ian. We're on the street and Dory cannot believe Sledge's theory about locking up the kids of criminals before they've committed a crime. This was similar to his strategy last week.
Yeah, I think he's got a coherent plan. Get them before they commit the crimes.
Sensible.
Keeps the people safe.
Sensible policies for a sensible country.
I think Tom Cruise made a movie about this.
What was that?
I can't remember the name of it, but it was people could
The
see
Colour
the
of Money.
future. No. People could see the future, and they were arresting folk for crimes they were going to commit.
Alright, okay.
So they saw him committing a murder in the future.
Vanilla Sky?
Was it Vanilla Sky?
Don't know.
I don't think it was. I think it was a
Don't
different movie.
Okay.
But anyway, he tried to escape this arrest because he hadn't committed a crime. He didn't see why he should be arrested.
Cocktail. I'm sure
Was it Cocktail?
it was
Top Gun, maybe. Yeah, one of these ones. I never watched the movie. I just remember hearing about it.
Anyway, Sledge rhymes off a number of famous kids, and it says, including Butch Cassidy.
And his kid, yes.
Now, as they're walking down the street, they notice a store robbery taking place, and Sledge seems quite excited about it.
Yeah, he just goes straight through the glass door.
After arresting the bad guy, he tries to prove his theory and asks him what his father did.
He does, and I think it proves his theory in Sledge's eyes.
Because
The father was a White House press secretary, I believe.
the presidential press secretary, and Sledge solemnly shakes his head and says the kid never had a chance.
That's it.
So that would have been 87, that would have been Bush Senior's government.
No, it wouldn't.
Reagan still? Would
Yeah,
it?
but looking at the age of the kid, he might well have grown up. He might have been Carter's press secretary. Maybe that would make it more likely that Hammer would be thinking of that.
Yes, but I'm thinking back. Did he say he was or is?
He said he was.
You sure?
Yes.
Okay.
So it could be any of them. But I think Carter's secretary makes most sense in the context.
Sledge would consider him more liberal.
Although I don't think Sledge is a big fan of any of the politicians, is he?
Nah. He's rogue.
Yeah.
Doesn't trust big government.
He's a third-party man all along.
Precinct. Sledge arrives and Dory has some very unusual news for him. A man has been arrested for attempting to break into the Wentworth mansion, and he has a big claim.
Did you not find it amusing that he reacted to this news that we're about to get much less dramatically than he did a few weeks ago when his gun was used in a robbery? He was heartbroken at that and started throwing things around the precinct.
Yeah, but I think, to be fair, I think it's obvious. I mean, he doesn't believe this chap.
Yeah, but just to hear that suggestion, you would think, hang on.
Yeah.
He doesn't really react significantly until he's in the room with him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fair enough.
And what is it the guy's claiming?
That he is Sledge's brother.
Right.
Now, after a moment, Hammer remembers he doesn't have a brother.
Yes.
But Dory and Mayjoy don't seem to believe him.
No, Mayjoy saw him and he tells Hammer, this guy's got the looks and the brains. What did you get?
He says the trigger finger.
Yes.
So they get through to Trunk's office, and Sledge barges in, trying to get to the bottom of things.
So there we were, standing in the middle of the Champs-Elysees, and...
Okay, Captain, what's going on?
Just a bit, Hammer. Your brother's in the middle of a very funny story.
Okay, slime clone.
I'll tell you one thing, Hammer. Get off this. Get your hands off that man.
I realize that you're upset by this sudden revelation, Sledge. I never meant for us to meet under circumstances that were so inauspicious.
I think you mean suspicious, don't you?
Hammer, this is very heavy. This is your brother.
What is this? What, just any jerk who walks in off the street and claims to be my brother, you believe?
It all checks out, Hammer. Bellman and Records ran a full trace. It's all in the files.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I want to see Bellman. I want to see those records right now!
Be right in, Captain Trunk.
I enjoyed that. Sledge been mistaken for Trunk because of his shouting.
Yes. Appropriate. Not that different from last week's joke about the screaming.
This character, Miles, reminds me of Wayne Jennings in Columbo, Murder in Malibu. He apparently is irresistible to every single female that crosses his path.
It's exactly the same, and we criticised that during the Columbo podcast, didn't we? That was just ridiculous. There's no man alive that women just follow, except for Donald Trump, obviously. He doesn't even wait. He can just go and kiss them.
Just grab them.
Yep. Anyway.
We shouldn't say that now. We might.
It's still true.
He does, but he's more power now.
He has more power. He can come and close our Twitter accounts down.
The feed might be shut down.
If we suddenly go silent, you'll know what's happened.
Maybe just grab our feed. You can do that. You know, if you're famous, you just grab it.
Yeah. When you're famous,
yeah,
they just let you. Trunk and Duro are clearly infatuated with this man.
Clearly. Everyone, I mean, it's worse than Wayne Jennings. It's not just females, it's every single person other than Sledge.
Yes, who's not having it at all.
No.
We then get the clip from the start of the show because they ask Miles about his background and he talks about a shotgun wedding, which piques Sledge's interest a little bit.
Well, the word gun is enough to do that. And as you say, everyone seems utterly charmed by Miles except for Sledge. We head over to the courthouse.
Yeah, not before Dory gets the chance to point out to Sledge that his scum begets scum theory has a fatal flaw.
Yeah. In the court, they await the judge's ruling on Miles's case.
Yes.
Sledge is happy enough until he hears that Mrs. Wentworth of the Wentworth mansion has dropped all charges.
Yes, and Miles rather slimily says they came to an accommodation.
Yeah. Sledge storms to the front.
Dory tries to stop him. She shouts, "Hammer, that man's your brother." And Hammer clearly doesn't believe it yet. He says, "Yeah, and I voted for Mondale," who people will know lost the 84 election.
Walter Mondale.
Yes.
Yeah.
He was landslid out of it by Ronald Reagan, who won 49 states.
Well remembered. He tells the judge that he has seen better decisions by a Ouija board.
I like that. And I like when he covers Miles' mouth and says, "Oh, he told me he wants the gas chamber."
Yeah, well, Miles is very slimy. He tries to apologise. He tries to be magnanimous and apologise on
He's
Sledge's
had some
behalf.
tough news.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
difficult for him to process.
And as you say, Sledge covers his mouth and says, "I'm speaking on behalf of my brother. He told me earlier he's definitely guilty. He wants the death penalty." The judge is shocked at Sledge's inhumane attitude towards his own brother.
Yeah, she calls him positively inhuman.
He takes that as a compliment.
He definitely does. Court's adjourned.
It is. Miles a free man, but he now needs a place to stay, and Sledge is reluctant to put him up.
And Dory says she's ashamed of him, which kind of pushes him because he wasn't going to take him in, and he was going to have to go and stay at Trunk's place because he volunteered his own home.
So he eventually relents.
Yeah, he says, though, I've never lived with another human being my entire life.
Dory reminds him that he was married.
Yeah, he also seems to have forgotten his parents.
No, but he says that. Dory reminds him that he was married, and he says, yeah, that's what I mean.
Yes, but he's also overlooked the fact he grew up in a house with his parents.
Yeah. I suppose he's
Adult life,
adult
anyway.
life.
Yeah.
So we're over to Sledge's apartment, and the brothers enter.
I love this.
Okay, describe.
Hammer checks his voicemail. So there's 3 messages.
And all 3 have got the same message.
Yes, they all say, Hammer, you're a dead man. And after the 3rd one, he says, I didn't know he was going to call.
I've actually got that down as my favourite line of the episode.
I think it's up there.
Yeah. Miles tries to chat, a bit of small talk with Sledge, but he is in no mood to listen.
All right, listen, pal, I'm in no mood for wisecracks. In the last 24 hours, I have gained a brother and a roommate. What am I going to find out next? I got 2 kids.
Didn't I tell you?
Shut up.
I'm kidding. You know, it's funny. I've always known there was another part of me out there, another half. They say brothers can be psychically linked, feel each other's feelings. You think that's true?
I don't know. You feel homicidal?
Why are you so hostile? Hey, that's interesting. A target right in your own apartment.
Reflects my taste. I guess I won't be needing it anymore, now that you're here.
Well, Sledge, where do we start? We got 40 years of catching up to do.
Obviously, before they have a chance to catch up, the landlady, the strict landlady who may well evict Sledge if he has a secret roommate, shows up at the door. I presume they couldn't either afford or they didn't want the actress who played his landlady in Miss of the Spider-Woman.
Maybe she has sold up and doesn't have that business anymore.
Yeah, at least they refer to a new landlady so we don't question the continuity.
Yeah, she arrives. Sledge assumes that they're in trouble, but no. Miles is again able to slime and charm.
Yes, they arrange Miles and Mrs. Steinberg are going to investigate the Wiki-Me-Tiki ritual, which I looked into. I don't think it's a thing.
No.
In any event, they're not getting evicted. He's welcome to stay as long as he likes.
Yes. Miles then suggests a game of chess, but Sledge prefers sculling. Not canoeing, but bashing skulls.
Yes. Miles is going to be made to sleep on the sofa until he turns on the charm to Sledge.
Yeah, the mood softens when the conversation changes to their parents, and Miles claims to have kept a scrapbook of all Sledge's exploits over the years. He's a real hero to him, apparently.
Yeah.
And this is what I said earlier. We've seen a little bit more about it. We knew Sledge was emotional and more sensitive when it came to his childhood and his family, and we're seeing that here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Sledge gives him his bed.
Yeah, he vacates the room and Miles makes a phone call.
Yes, immediately he calls someone and he tells him that the Rook has taken the pawn.
Yeah, it's not just anyone. He's calling the police station. He's calling...
That's the big reveal we get here. It's Belmont.
Yeah.
Or Bellman?
Bellman, I thought.
Yeah. She was the records
Woman, yes.
woman officer.
Who brought the file through.
Back to the precinct itself, and Sledge is annoyed that everyone seems to be so taken with Miles. And that, in fairness to Sledge, is really annoying.
It would be really annoying.
Dory thinks that Sledge is jealous, and Hammer asks her what he would be jealous of. And Dory and Mayjoy reel off a list of
things that
attributes.
Yeah. Dory's all dolled up.
She is. Although Sledge says that even Marcel wears less makeup.
Yeah, Dory wasn't as offended by that as I thought she might be.
Because I think she knows he's upset.
Yeah, he offers to fix it up with the flasher in the holding cell instead.
Yeah, at least he's up for a bit of commitment.
And then after she leaves, my favourite moment of the episode, Hammer's talking to his gun.
Did we explain that?
Oh, she's going out with Miles. Sorry, yes.
Yes, and yes, then go on.
Hammer's talking to his gun and someone off screen says, "Who are you talking to, Hammer?" And he just looks embarrassed.
We've not seen this. I was going to say trope, but it's not really a trope yet.
No, not yet.
Yeah, so we've seen it a few times.
Yeah, not too much.
No, they've played it just nicely.
I agree. I think I talked a few weeks ago about my concerned that they might lean on that in the future, but so far so good.
So we head over to the date at the restaurant, and Dory appears, as we know, smitten by Miles.
He's schmoozing.
Oh, he talks about
Slimy
his
character.
experiences and his where he's been, what he's done, and it's such a contrast to Sledge.
Yeah, he's talking about himself.
Yeah.
What a typical grade A.
Oh, he's a scumbag, isn't he? He's a creepy. I mean, it gets worse. The way he acts with the sommelier, the waiter who brings the wine across.
Yes, he's
Trying
not
to,
polite.
he shows that he knows something apparently about wine, but he acts like a complete and utter
Yeah.
beep.
Well, he's trying to make himself look good at the expense of somebody who can't defend themselves.
Yeah, I mean, you're being a bully.
Yes.
And I don't know why you think that is an attractive. I mean, up until this point, he's actually been at the other extreme, where he's been magnanimous and he stood up for Sledge, but now he's showing his true colours. He's
Yeah.
a bit
You
of a-
wonder what the purpose of this date is for
Maybe-
him.
aye.
Just because he could,
because he could, and Duro is an extremely attractive woman.
I suppose. But he's already got two others that he's kind of engaged in some kind of plot with.
But again, like Wayne Jennings, I think he likes to keep his fingers in many pies.
He explains, like after you said about the sommelier, he explains that he knows a lot about wine because he spent several jail terms in the Napa Valley.
But he's turning over a new leaf now.
Is that a wine joke?
What?
Turning over the leaf.
Not really, no.
Okay.
Don't really, it's not.
There's leaves on grape trees, isn't there?
Yeah, but it's not really associated with.
Yeah. There's a brand of wine called Turning Leaf. My favourite wine.
Yeah. But no, I don't think that's a joke.
No, that's just saying that.
Yeah.
We get a wee clip back at Sledge's apartment where I think he is agitated because Dory is out with this guy he doesn't trust.
Yeah. You see, the relationship is so, at this point, it's so much in its infancy. I can't fully accept it as a romantic jealousy. I think it's...
No, he's worried about her.
He's worried about her, yeah.
Yeah.
He loves her as a friend, perhaps sisterly. But I think it's his only friend that he's got. He doesn't trust Miles for a good reason. So yeah, I think it's a genuine just worrying about someone else, and it's lovely to see.
Yeah, no, I liked it.
He's pacing and he's agitated. I didn't quite like what he did next.
So shooting children.
Yeah, if I was 3 or 4 rounds into the ceiling and we hear babies and kids cry, it's like,
Yeah.
and he shouts up at them. to
Well,
be
is he
quiet.
firing blanks?
No, I don't think so.
So there's a high degree of risk involved in this activity.
Are you suggesting that Sledgehammer fires blanks?
He said he had no children earlier in the episode.
He doesn't carry blanks in his gun. Why would he? That's
who
not a
knows?
very manly thing to do. A man always carries live rounds in his gun.
Okay.
Back to the restaurant. And we see the waitresses are fighting over themselves to get to serve Miles.
Absurd.
And the Miles and Dory go up to dance. He has to knock back another woman who wants to...
Cut in immediately.
Yeah.
And Dory asks him if it happens a lot.
What
He
does
says, only when I'm out in public.
Dory says that she can't believe he really related to Sledge, so she asks him a question. What is the question?
She wants Miles to confirm that Sledge's middle name is Alfred.
Which he does.
Yeah, he says Sledge Alfred Hammer.
Why does that bother Dory?
Because she knows that Sledge doesn't have a middle name.
Precisely.
So what's tipped her off, do you think?
I think she's a good cop. I think that she trusts Hammer.
At what point do you think she started to suspect this guy? Before the date?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think pretty early on. I think she was smitten and charmed, but I think she is smart enough to realise that she's being charmed.
Yeah.
And that would, alarm bells would be set off. And the fact that Sledge is adamant as well, I think she trusts him.
Yep.
The evening doesn't end well for Miles.
No, he gets knocked out by Dory.
Yeah. He tries to, again, charm his way out. I think he goes for a kiss. And does she not throw him over the...
Yeah, over her shoulder
onto
onto
the
a table, yeah.
Yeah.
But she doesn't go running off to anyone, and she goes home, I believe, because it's the next morning we see her at the precinct.
Mm-hmm. And Dory arrives to tell an upset Hammer what she has discovered.
Hammer, I have something I've got to tell you.
Hey, I don't want to hear the gory details, all right?
It's about Miles. I found out something horrible last night.
Let me guess. He sleeps with his mouth open.
He's not your brother.
You mean he's my sister?
No, he's not really your brother. I tricked him into telling me your middle name last night.
Right. I don't have a middle name.
Exactly.
So?
So, he said you did. Now, how did he alter his records to match yours?
I don't know. There's no place he could have found that information except in my personnel file, and that is classified.
Bellman.
Bellman doesn't put up much resistance.
No, she breaks down. She's quite obviously an insecure person who really fell for Miles's charm and admits that she gave him the info as she believed that he was going to marry her. I think Sledge is, he's not too gentle about
There's
his...
a brilliant exchange though, because he says you believe that, as if like, he would marry you, and she's like, "What are you talking about? You believed he was your brother."
He says, "Yeah, well, I mean..." So he apparently wanted this new ID so that he could rob the Wentworth mansion.
Yes.
And Bellman is a babbling wreck with no self-respect. Miles' real name is...
I think Bruce something.
I think it's Bruce Radish. An out-of-work actor. Apparently this is the lowest form of criminal.
We've seen this. I think Columbo did this as well when they have a go at actors.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of an in-joke, a little nod and a wink, seeing as they're all acting around.
Just then, a cop comes in to tell him that Miles is trapped in the Wentworth mansion. He used this new ID to get in.
Yeah, it's the one who wanted to set his sister up with Miles.
I don't understand this. He was using this new ID, but he'd already been friendly with
But the Wentworths aren't there, it's the maid that's let him in.
Right.
Remember we hear later that they're out.
Yeah, we do. So we head over there. Miles is holding a maid hostage, and he's firing shots down towards Trunk and some other cops. He wants to talk to Sledge, who arrives late.
Sorry I'm late, but it looks like I got here in time for the fun, huh?
Hammer, you wouldn't shoot your own brother, would you? Wait a minute. Of course you would.
Captain, Miles really isn't Hammer's brother. It was all a ruse. He's really an unemployed thespian.
Yeah, and he's an actor, too.
Wonder where you got all this ammunition.
Must have picked the lock on my hope chest.
Sledge! Get everybody else out of here or she gets it.
And I thought actors loved an audience. All right, Captain, why don't you get this party out of here? This is a family matter.
No, Hammer. Just the thought of leaving you here with all these priceless works of art scares the living daylights out of me.
Relax. What could I possibly bust? By the way, where are the Wentworths?
Only the maid was home. The Wentworths are at a Republican caucus meeting.
Where?
At the Liars Club.
Do you know what a hope chest is?
Yes.
I didn't until I heard this and went and looked it up.
All right. Okay.
It's an American term.
Yeah, it's like where you might place things, wishes and pictures of. If you're a young girl, perhaps you might place a picture of a pop star that you want to marry when you get up. Or
the definition I read was it's where a young woman places linen and clothing in preparation for marriage.
Okay.
So obviously Sledge in preparation for marriage has put bullets in his hope chest. Which I thought was maybe a reference to his ex-wife.
Everyone departs, leaving Sledge, the maid, and Miles alone, and she tells him not to shoot.
Yeah, she's defending Miles now.
And throughout the rest of the scene, she wants to run away with Miles, and she's infatuated with him as everyone else is.
Yeah. Hammer's not impressed. He indicates to the maid that when he shoots, he sometimes misses.
Yeah.
Having heard that.
Well, I think she says that she laughs at Hammer for thinking that he could be his brother because he's far too handsome.
Yes.
Sledge is more annoyed that Miles tried to play in what few emotions he had, or has, before apparently allowing him a sporting chance to make a run for it.
Yeah, 5-minute head start.
What happens?
He immediately pulls the rug out from under him, literally. And Dory makes a spectacular diving save on a priceless vase.
Yep.
I really like this next part, where Hammer, who'd taken nonsense from these two for the whole episode, just does his own thing.
What does he do?
He takes the vase from Dory and goes to smash it over Miles' head.
Pauses
while Trunk says, "Hammer," and then just brings it down anyway on the guy's head.
Quite right.
Absolutely deserved that.
Totally.
And not to mention the fact that the woman whose house it was had helped this guy get off with the crime in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So why would Hammer have any sympathy for her?
He doesn't. He shouldn't. Back to the precinct for the epilogue.
Yeah, Trunk and Dory checking Sledge's family tree. Remember we heard the fake psychiatrist say he was descended from Attila the Hun?
Yes, so now we have Ivan the Terrible and Genghis Khan.
And Gandhi.
And Gandhi, yeah. Sledge is what I think he said something like, there's always one black sheep in the family.
Gandhi would only be maybe 2 generations older than Sledge.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's us. Another good, fun, enjoyable episode.
I liked it.
Yeah.
We're coming towards the conclusion of this season. We've only got, I think, 5 episodes left. So
yeah, what is it, about 20...
22 in this season.
Okay, what's this?
17.
Okay. Yeah, no, it was fun.
Yes, it's good, and I know a couple of weeks ago I criticised them for getting away from the character development, and I liked this episode and last week's as well, moving back in the direction that I've been enjoying.
Definitely. Did you recognise Miles at all?
He's going those faces, he seemed familiar, but I couldn't have told you who he was.
Well, let's discuss him when we look at the production information. So, January the 31st, 1987 was the original air date. It was directed by Chuck Braverman. We've met him many times.
Yeah, now a photographer, I believe.
And Gerald Gardner was the writer. This is his second of 2 episodes. Haven't Gun Will Travel was his previous effort, and this episode is his last piece of writing work.
Oh, I don't know, it was better than the one before it, I guess, so maybe he's gone out on a high.
Yep. Miles was played by Patrick Wayne. Born in 1939, he's the son of John Wayne.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. He himself was in McClintock, The Searchers, The Alamo. But again, I'm sure he was the most suitable person for the role. But he was also in Young Guns, Her Alibi, The Rounders. Her Alibi is an interesting one. It's one of my, again, it's a comfort movie for me. It's not highly regarded. It's a 88-89 Tom Selleck movie.
Right.
About a murder mystery writer who then gets involved in a murder mystery.
Is it a movie version of Murder, She Wrote?
Yeah. Or Magnum, you could say.
Okay.
Oh, but obviously.
They had a crossover, didn't they?
They did, yes. Jessica Fletcher went to Hawaii and was in a double episode of Magnum.
A lot of folk probably don't know that.
Dorothy Dells played the judge. She was born in 1928. This is her second of 3 Sledgehammers. She was a robbed woman in Under the Gun.
Okay, that was right at the start.
She has also been in Kickboxer 2 and Death Warrant. With Jean-Claude Van Damme, she played the main bad guy.
In both of those?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, of course she didn't.
Oh,
the main bad guy is like...
I was hoping that you were telling the truth. I was so hopeful.
An elderly woman being kicked about the roundhouse kick to the head by Jean-Claude Van Damme.
That would be amazing. I want that movie.
No, I don't know who she played it in them, but she wasn't the main bad guy. The final fight. Dorothy Dells in her 70s. Oh, I'm keeping this in. She was also in LA Law, Quincy, and Charlie's Angels. And she had 2 uncredited appearances in Columbo, in Fade Into Murder and Now You See Him.
Okay, Fade Into Murder was the first Shatner one.
Yes.
Now You See Him was the last Cassidy one.
It was. Well remembered. Susan Krebs played Officer Bellman. Born in 1947. Very successful career. She's been in Shameless, $1 Million Baby, As Told by Ginger, The West Wing, Ally McBeal, ER, Roseanne, Dallas, Santa Barbara, and she played Wendy in Columbo's Make Me a Perfect Murder.
Okay, that was from the TV studio. Who was Wendy?
Can't remember. Must have been one of the assistants or something.
Right.
Liz Torres played the maid, an actress, singer and comedian. She has been Golden Globe nominated and has had 3 Emmy nominations. She is known for the John Larroquette Show, Gilmore Girls, Joe Dirt, ER, Over the Top, LA Law, City, Hill Street Blues, and Phyllis.
Good CV.
The title of this week's episode was based on a Depression-era song.
I'm guessing it's Brother, Can You Spare a Dime?
Indeed.
I didn't know what that was, but I was guessing that was what it was going to be.
And you might enjoy this. The Wentworth House, or the Wentworth Mansion, is the same house from the outside as the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air's Bel-Air Mansion.
There you go.
Okay, favourite line this week?
Ooh, you go first. I think for me it was the Wentworths are at a Republican caucus meeting where the Liars Club. I like that.
Okay, and mine would be not so much a line, but the scene with the 3 calls on the answer machine all saying you're a dead man.
That was also very good.
Next week we have Desperately Seeking Dory.
Okay.
Anyway, this episode is getting on a bit. We'll wrap it. You said your piece.
I've said my piece at the start, so we can just say cheerio now.
Bye bye.